This is part 4 of reviewing for our midterm, and this one's going to actually teach us how to find a record in the list, edit it, modify that record, store it back to the list, and then send control back to the view that lists all the objects. So let's go ahead and do this. We need to write a new method, and that method is going to be called edit team, and we need to do a get method. So if we wanted to, we could say HTTP get, but we don't have to because it's the default. We'll say public action result edit team. But in order for us to edit a team, we're going to have to know which team to edit. Now if we take a look back at our team model, we'll see that one of the attributes is called team code, another is called team name. We're using team code as the primary key. We really don't want them to edit that field. So we will go ahead and use that for searching for the team in the list. So back over here in our edit team, we want to receive a parameter that when they click on edit, we want to know which team they want to edit. Back again, our model says that edit team is a string. Sorry, the team code is a string. So in our team controller, we want to say we're going to receive a string, and we'll just call it scode, and that'll be the team code that we're going to work with. And then we want to go ahead and return a view. And what we now want to do inside of this method is we want to go find the team code in that list, and if we do find it, we want to return that object to this method. Otherwise, we'll just send control back to show team. Now before I finish this code, let's come back over to the show teams view. Here's our show teams view. Down at the very bottom we said if you ever click on edit for one of those objects, we want to go to the edit method and we want to pass it a parameter. And the parameter that we want to pass is going to be the team code that we're looking at right now. So it'll be the item team code and that says we're going to pass a parameter. Currently this says pass a parameter called ID. Well, that's a problem because back over here in the team controller we said the parameter is going to be called scode. In order to pass a parameter from this view to this controller, they have to be named the same. So we would either have to change this to be ID or we would have to change this to be code. So we're going to go ahead and do that so that it matches the same name as the parameter that our method is receiving. Now that we have our parameter in the edit method matching the parameter that we're passing it, let's go back to our edit method and we actually want to go search that list team. There's our list team right there, right? We want to search all those objects for the team code that we received back over here in the show teams. In other words, when we click on this object, we want to pass the team code for that object to that parameter, which goes into this parameter, and now we can search the list. And here's how I would do it. We would create a variable of type team object, because that's what we're searching for, team objects. And then we would look for, in our list, find one at a time, because it does a for each object. It pulls out of the list, it puts it into X. You don't have to call that X, you could call it anything. For each object out of the list, go look at the team code for that object and compare it to the parameter that we received from that show teams. Once we find that object, and we will find that object because we know the team code is going to exist, because that's why we have an edit, then we can pass that object, OTeam, to an edit view, the edit team view, which will allow me to now modify that object. Let's go ahead and save this. Let's go ahead and create our edit team view. Right mouse click in the edit team view, add view. We're going to go ahead and call it edit team. We want to use the edit template. We want to work with the team model. Leave the layout page checked. Click add. It will now receive an edit object. We have our form. We do our cross-site checking. We have our validations in case there's errors. And then we display our HTML form for the team code and for the team name. And then we have a submit button that says save. We do have a link that says if we click on this link we'll go back to the index, but remember we don't have an index method. We actually have one called show teams in the show teams controller, which we're still in that same controller, so we're okay. I don't have to list the controller also, but that's the method, right? Here's our teams controller right there, and there's the show teams method. Edit team is still in that same teams controller, so we're okay. So let's go ahead and save this, and I'm going to set a breakpoint on the edit get, and let's see what happens. So we run our program. It shows our landing page. On our landing page we click the team menu item. We click add a new team. We'll give it a code of UTA. Team name will be Utah Jazz. Add team. Go to teams again. There's the Utah Jazz. If I put my cursor right here, watch down here in the corner, it says go to the teams controller, go to the edit method, create a parameter called scode, and pass it the value of UTA. Edit. It says we can't find anything. It can't find a teams edit method. So let's go back, take a look at our method. See, it says edit team right there. Well, the difference is back over here in our show teams, we said go to the edit method. That's not the same name as the method we were saying. So if you end up with problems where it can't find methods, first thing to do, check to see if it exists. Next thing, check to see if the name matches, and in this case it doesn't. So back over here, instead of edit, let's call this edit team. Let's save it, go back to index, let's run one more time and see if it now finds that method in the controller. Let the system help you. It's going to try to help you find problems. Team. We go to our list, add a new team, UTA, Utah Jazz, add team, teams, there's our team. It says go to the teams controller, edit team method, parameter called scode, UTA. Scode right here has a value of UTA. We'll click this button to step over, and it says, yep, I found an object. Has the team code of UTA, the team name of Jazz. So we're now going to pass that object. I'm going to get rid of that breakpoint. We're going to pass that object to the edit team view. Remember what the edit team view does? It receives a model of type team, and then it has an HTML form for us to work with. Let's see if it really works. I clicked on continue, and there it is, Utah Jazz. I don't want to mess with the team code, but I'll say Utah Jazzers. Now, if I click save, we're going to get an error because it says I don't know where that method is. And that's because we already wrote the get method back in Teams controller. We wrote the get method for edit team, but we never wrote the post method for edit team. So let's now write the post method, which says receive the data from the form and post it back to the server. I'm going to paste in code that I've already typed in. Let's take a look. Here's our post. It needs to be called edit team. When you click on save, it passes the team object from the form to this variable of type team. So that's the data that comes from the form. Then we said create an object, and let's go to the list and do a first or default. Let's search that list. If we don't return it, we get a null value. Hopefully we find it. And at one at a time, grab the object out of the list, put it into X, compare the team code of that X object to this object's team code. Because remember, this is an object from the form. And this has a team code and a team name. And this has a team code and team name from that list. If we found it, so it's not null, then we want to say go ahead and go to this object that we found, go to its attribute, and replace it with this value. Now, how does this actually work? This is because this list has a whole bunch of objects in it, and we're actually returning the pointer in memory where that object lives. And since we have that pointer in memory where the object lives, we can say go to that memory location, change the team name to be the value of that team name. So we're actually working with what they call a pointer. We just don't see and we don't care. But that's why it actually modifies the list team, because we're working with the memory location of an object in that list. So it's as if we're working with that object. Once we find it, we change it. We say let's go to the show teams view and let's pass our modified list. So let's run this. Let's go to the application and run it. And we want to go ahead and click on add team. Right there, there's our teams. Click on add team, UTA, and let's just say the word Utah, add team. Go back to teams, there's Utah, and we say, oh, I spelt that incorrectly. Edit. It's really the Utah Jazz. I'm going to click on save, and so what's going to happen? It's going to go try to find the edit team post method. In fact, I'm going to come back over to here and I'm going to set a breakpoint so we can watch it work. Save. Here's my model. This is the object I received from that HTML form. It received the Utah Jazz and UTA. We're now going to search our list to see if we can find it. We found it. There's an object right there, and that's the object we found, and it's the same memory location as the object over here. So any changes I make to it here will affect this list. Is it null? It's not null. So let's go to the object team name, which is Utah, and change it with the object team name, which will be Utah Jazz. Let's see if that works. And then let's go back to show teams, and we want to pass our list of team objects. And it now says Utah Jazz. So when you do an edit, first of all, you need to go find that object, send the object to the view to edit it. After we edit it and we click save, we go to the post, we receive the object from the form, the HTML form, we search the list again to find it. If we found it, we change any of the attributes we want to change, and then we can send control somewhere else. And that's how we do an edit.